Hey everybody, welcome to a winning edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Chargers win on Monday Night Football 27-6 over the New York Jets. And what's there to worry about? Right there, it seemed like a lot of people stressing out, even Charger fans say not so sure. You go 3,000 miles back east, it's the Jets, it's their defense. It seemed like every so-called football expert picked the Jets, yet the Chargers win this game. We told you, all three of us told you the Chargers are going to win this game, and you weren't going to have to worry about it. And guys, that's exactly what happened. Josh, what did you see?
All right, I'm going to give you credit, okay? I don't think you get enough credit for some of the things you do because you're wrong a lot of the times, but you deserve credit. You deserve credit because you're the only one of us that said on this show Chargers are going to kick their ass. And people in the comments destroyed you and said you're an idiot, called you a bunch of names, and you're the one that was right. The Chargers, clap it up. Chargers straight up kicked their ass. And the big takeaway from this game, and people are going to be talking about this, about the Chargers, is they got a three-headed monster, and I might be exaggerating here, that is the best in the league at getting after the quarterback. You got three guys with multiple sacks, and it's the big three, dude. We finally got a big three. Bosa, Mack, and Thule are freaking awesome. I love watching these guys play football. They destroy the quarterback. Zac Wilson's going to need a million ice packs. Mario, how fun was that to watch them just kill the Jets? He had no chance.
He didn't stand a chance. The poor guy couldn't even see it coming. I mean, he was sniffing turf all night. He's going to find it in every single place when he goes into that locker room. That's all he was on the turf. He might as well just get a pillow and a blanket and just lay there because that's what he was doing all night long. Can we finally get some respect on Thule? Can people start talking about him as like one of the best defensive rookies in the league? Like, can they? Because it's not mentioned. Like, yes, I know Jalen Carter's a beast. Witherspoon, beast. Branch, out of this world. But can we put Thule up there with him? Can we put Thule up there with Will Anderson? Because he plays like it. He's a freaking animal. He's a beast. And I think tonight was one of those games where it's on national television, where it's one of the biggest games to watch of the year, where we had the New York media on it, and you got to see him go, hey, here's the sack, literally and figuratively, up yours. I'm one of the best defensive players in this draft class. And congrats to Dave. Dave, you were right. But you were also wrong because Bosa played a really good game today. So you're right and wrong.
Hold on. I didn't say Bosa wasn't going to have a good game today. I told
you say he's overpaid.
He is.
Go after him a lot.
I do. And let me tell you something. It was the best game he has played as a Charger in a long time, in over a year. It's the best game by far he played. Let's go back a couple things. So, look, if you listen to this show or you're new to this show, I'll tell you right now, again, I've taken shots at Joey Bosa for over a year. Since we started for about 15 months, I've been ripping on him. But at the same time, I'm going to pat us on the back right here a lot. This is going to be right here. We're going to go through a whole thing of everything that we're right about. Not too many people admit when they're right. We do point out when we're wrong because we think it's funny. But at the same time, when the draft happened, who's the one guy we all liked? Thule, right?
True.
All three of us said he's the guy that we liked. We were absolutely right on that one, okay? At the same time, Mario said on the last show, if I'm the Chargers, what I do is I stretch it out to Quentin Johnson right in the first series of the game. What do? Absolutely did it, right? Absolutely. Keenan Allen, was he going to get the yards? Damn right he got the yards. Keenan Allen, again, one of the best players in the NFL through his career, yet he doesn't get the publicity a lot of guys get because he plays for the Chargers. Keenan Allen knew exactly where he was, number one in media market. Again, Monday Night Football, Keenan Allen was able to show people, again, how great he is and how old he is. That catch he made at the end was one of the best catches of the season. Absolutely incredible. We'll talk more about that as we go on. But we were right a lot. And just going back to what you guys said, look, the Jets defense wasn't bad. Because, look, Justin Herbert didn't throw a touchdown pass either. I don't want to hear the announcers say Troy Aikman and all those guys talk about Aaron Rodgers, how this would be a different team. The Jets don't do a very good job as far as their offense goes. And Troy Aikman finally started turning that way in the fourth quarter, saying, look, the play calling stinks. The offensive line stinks. Zac Wilson, not a fan. I said before, and I got killed on it before in the comments on YouTube saying, the quarterback position's not that important. The difference of the Chargers winning that game and the Jets winning that game, I'm telling you, has a lot to do with Justin Herbert. Look, Justin Herbert didn't commit a turnover, didn't throw an interception, didn't throw a touchdown pass, but yet the Jets outgained the Chargers by about 80 yards in that game, okay? The difference is Justin Herbert was able to keep his cool, was able not to sit there and hurt his own team. Poor Zac Wilson, as you guys said it, with Joey Bosa, with Thule, with Mac. That guy had people all night. It was pressure. He had guys coming in his face all night long. It was a disaster. And so for the Chargers, they were able to pull this thing off. And guess what? They win 27-6. Nobody scores a touchdown for the Jets. Chargers hopefully get some respect. They're back at 500 at 4-4. It was a good night.
Yeah, it was a great night. Zac Wilson, poor Zac Wilson, threw the ball 49 times. It's like he's like, can I please just hand this ball off for God's sakes? I'm getting my ass kicked back here. It was great to watch, man. It is a little bit concerning when we're talking about the offense that they weren't great tonight, but the defense was so damn good. They outshined the offense again. 2 weeks in a row, the defense was amazing. Justin Herbert, if you tell me, would go 16 for 30, no touchdowns, 136 yards, you'd say the Chargers probably lost. Obviously, they win tonight in a big way. Keenan Allen, he is the one guy that will show up every game and ball out. That catch he made was amazing. It was so amazing, and it was so crucial at that point in time, too. Justin Herbert almost did it again where he overthrew Keenan Allen wide open, and Keenan Allen's like, nope, not again. We're going to do this. Keenan Allen was amazing. Austin Eckler, I think, played pretty well running the ball, catching the ball. I don't know what the hell happened to Austin Eckler. He had 3 drops tonight. That was one of the more weird things you never see from Austin Eckler. But overall, man, I'm very happy. The Chargers defense, to me, if they can play like that, we have a shot. I mean, we have a shot to win any game if their defense can play like that. And they're going to be tested in a big way next week against the Lions.
100%. And we need this pass rush to come into play next week. We need that to happen again. I mean, the fact that Mac had 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, that led to a touchdown. Tully had 2 sacks. Bosa, 2.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. We haven't even gotten to the pressures yet that all 3 of those guys came in and got. We need that against the Lions. We need that against the Ravens. We need that against the Bills. We need that to keep coming. I know the Jets O-line's not the best, but still it was a dominant performance. And we've said this over and over again. You got to dominate the bad teams. We just faced 2 bad teams, right? We just faced Tyson Bagent and the Bears. We dominated them. We just faced the Jets and Zac Wilson. Dominated them. Absolutely dominated them. And I know the offense didn't play great tonight, but guess what? Not all offenses play great against the Jets. You know, this wasn't like one of those games where, yeah, we were the one offense that didn't play well. No, Allen struggled against them. Mahomes struggled against them. Hurts struggled against them. Teams struggled against this defense, so it wasn't like a crazy outlier. I think this was a very great win. It was a successful win. It was a confidence booster. And it's, I don't know about you guys, but it leaves me going, all right, I don't think we're screwed for the Lions. I think we have a pretty good fight, pretty good chance to win that game. Like, it gives you a whole different perspective heading to next week and going forward of there's a lot in this team that we need to be excited about. And by the way, Gilman, he came out on fire tonight.
Yeah.
On fire. Big hit, forced fumble. I just love what I saw the defense today. Staley, for the first time probably in my life, I'm going to tell you, good job.
Hey, by the way, another thing Mario got right, he said punt return for a touchdown. There's a special teams touchdown. Who calls that? You got it right. I'm telling you. Again, I'm going to pat us on the back because, man, and we hit the under. We all picked the under. Made you a little bit of money at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Look, if this team can play like this, I agree with what you guys said about the Lions. They can play with anybody. The deal is, can they continue doing what they did the last 2 weeks? And I understand where those 2 teams rank. The deal is, can you execute? Derwin James played his best game of the year tonight, by the way. You know, we've been saying what happened to Derwin. Derwin didn't look like the Derwin James we all fell in love with. He looked like Derwin James tonight. So many guys played well. Guys, I'm a big momentum person, meaning that we talk about the slip games in the NFL that happen. I don't think this is a team that, number one, are like the Chiefs where you can afford a slip. 2 is these guys know they're playing their best football right now and to take it against the Lions. If I'm the Detroit Lions and I understand you've had plenty of time to prepare for this team, I'm going, I didn't like what I saw Monday night. I mean, we better be in our A game too. The Chargers, number one, believe in themselves too as they're starting to execute defensively of everything they're trying to get done. And at the same time, the offensive side, you aren't going to see too many games where Justin Herbert doesn't have a touchdown pass. By the way, when the hell does that splint come off his hand? It has been on his hand, it seems like, for 2 years. Like, it is the longest broken thing I've ever seen. When does that splint come off? I'm tired of looking at it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of weird things happened this past week, and there's a few weekends in the NFL where you're like, that was strange. Here's a weird one for you. Every team in the AFC West is on a winning streak. Every team has won their last game. Broncos have won their last 2, and the Chargers have won their last 2. every team in the AFC East who people think is the best division has lost their last game. I mean, it's a really weird thing. Chargers continue that tonight by beating the Jets. I wanted to point out some of the things that were positive because I think there was a lot of good positive things. There were some concerning things, Mario. Our offensive line kind of got their ass kicked. I mean, Justin Herbert got sacked 5 times against a really good Jets defense. I understand, but 5 times is a lot. And a few of them, the guys look just completely lost. Every single guy on that line looked lost at one point in time. Trey Pipkins, to me, is a big concern. I mean, he is getting his ass kicked on a lot of these plays, Mario. Is the offensive line a concern to you, or do you think they were just going against a really good team?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. I think also some of the sacks, to me, it was a little just great coverage. Like, it was just one of those where I'm like, all right, the ball's just getting hold on to. Like, yeah, get rid of it. Like, that's, 1, 2, 3, ball's got to be out. But it did show me a little concern. I was just like, but it is like you said, it's a very talented defensive front. Like, it's not like we're facing the Bears front. Like, no, this is a pretty talented front. So it's 50-50 for me on that. I will say the one thing I didn't like was the continued aggression of, hey, let's try to go at Sauce Gardner. But let's just abandon that pretty early, especially with, I don't know, our backup wide receivers. Let's not try to go out the best corner in the NFL currently. Like, that's just not going to really work. And it just did not work at all. Sauce had a really good game for himself tonight. But if I had to look at the offensive line, I had to go, I wish it got more push up front for a little bit more Eckler yards. I mean, that was a part of the Jets defense I thought we could kind of exploit a little bit. And we didn't really do that. Eckler finished with 47 yards on 14 carries. I wish we could have done a little bit more on that last possession before the Jets got it back. And, we go 3 now, and Troy Aikman's like, oh, I like the 3 straight run plays by Kellen Moore. I don't hate the run plays, but I just wish we got, I don't know, 4 yards every carry on that one. I just wish we got a little extra push on the running side of things. But to you, Dave, were you getting a little worried about the O-line?
I'm always worried. I think every team in the NFL is worried about their O-line. I'll be honest with you. I mean, outside if you're the Eagles or the Niners, I think every team worries about their own line. It always seems like that's always the number one thing people point to when the offense isn't clicking, and usually they're right. It's the line, whether it's the Rams, it's the Chargers, it's the Jets. It's what it always is, right? It just seems like the 2 O-lines that never get criticized right now are the Eagles and the 49ers. It used to be the Cowboys had that situation with their O-line. Let's be honest. Ever since our center went out, it has changed everything, and and since then. It's not like it's not a knee injury. It's one of those where it's a heart problem, and so you wonder does he ever play again? But at the same time, the games are still going to go on. They aren't going to cancel games. Why they wait for the Chargers to find someone that can actually play the position that's a veteran center, and it is the one position on the offensive line where I think you do need a veteran, or you need an extremely smart kid coming out of school that's able to take care of that position. It's not easy. It's overlooked. It doesn't pay a lot of money in the NFL compared to other positions, but it has completely broken the Chargers offensive line down as the season has gone on. So yeah, I'm concerned. And let's be honest about Austin Eckler. As talented as he is, running the ball, he's an average running back, meaning just running the ball. He's average. I mean, we all want to believe he's great. Here's the deal. We're watching the game, above, and we can see where the holes are created. And when we see top running backs that know, when to cut back and have that sixth sense of when to cut back and where the holes are going to be, you notice the difference. Eckler's not that guy. He just isn't. And it's not a shot at him. Guess what? He's great at a lot of other things that other running backs aren't. It's just you can't expect to go through the season saying all of a sudden he's going to turn into one of the top 3 running backs in the NFL as far as a pure runner goes.
Yeah, he's not. And we've said that on the show many times. He's a utility guy. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. I don't think he's super great at either one, but he's a really good football player, and he usually produces in a big way. He has 2 touchdowns tonight. But the talk is also going to be, do the Chargers actually have a good offense, or are they lagging behind the defense now? I mean, it seems like they can never put up on the same time. The offense scored. They did what they needed to do when they had the opportunities, I felt, and they did a good drive at the end of the first half to get that field goal. But you could take away 7 points from Darius Davis's return, and then you can take away 7 points from Gilman putting it at the 2-yard line and then running it in. You could say the Chargers scored 13 points on offense, and they actually had less yards per play than the Jets. The big difference to me is that the Jets had the ball for 9 more minutes and they ran 21 more plays. The Chargers were more efficient. I think the drop passes were definitely something that were uncharacteristic by Austin Eckler. Jalen Guyton, to me, looked like he has never played football before. He looked terrible out there. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was. And then you got Keenan Allen, who shows every time. And then Gerald Everett, man, let's get this guy the ball some more. Every time he gets it, he just runs through your face. I mean, he is the most tenacious runner the Chargers have on the team right now. I'd love to get him the ball more. Donald Parham has a situation where he doesn't even see the ball thrown at him. He looks back at Justin Herbert like, was that to me? The offense did not look great, but they did enough to win, and the defense showed up in a big way. Mario, are you going to be happy walking away from this? Are you just happy we got to win? Are you going to be looking at the negatives? How are you going to see this game?
I'm happy with the win because we dominated. If this was a 2014, I'd be like, okay, let's not get too excited about this. I think the fact that we dominated, we held them to 6 points, we were able to put up 27, and like you said, the 27 is very spewed, right? Like you take away the Gilman, okay, that's 7. Take away Davis's beautiful special teams touchdown, okay, that's another 7. And next thing you know, you're like, oh wait, that's a one score game, like, you know, and you start doing that to yourself and go, all right, that's something a loser does. You know, that's something like the head coach does for the Jets. That's what Saleh's probably gonna do on freaking Wednesday, whatever the hell. By the way, nice dye on the beard, buddy. Let's calm down.
He does have a good bald head.
Hey, good bald head.
He has a good shaped bald head.
Yeah, but we don't need to dye a beard like that, brother. All right. That's why I messaged to his team in that one. The thing that worries me is I walked away going, our receivers really worry me. Like, if that's a worry I got from this game, it's the receiving's really, really going to worry me. Against the Lions, that's going to really scare me because I learned tonight that it really is Allen with a sprinkle of Quentin and Allen. Like, that's it. That's all we got right now. That's all we got is just Allen. I wish I saw more uniqueness with Darius Davis. Let's try to use him into more things. Let's get more exciting with that. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's back to Herbert's hand. I don't know. But I'll say this too before I throw it to you, Dave. How many different packages are we going to try with wrapping his hand? Have you guys noticed that? We went from a glove to like a wrap the finger, a string down here around the like. What the hell do we have going on over there? Like, our training staff is just freestyling it on the finger wrapping, and it's blowing my mind. But I don't know about you, Dave, but the receiving was my only worry. I walked away from this.
We kind of called this, right? I mean, this is before we even knew Joshua Palmer was hurt. You know, we called it a few weeks ago when the trade deadline, and we were saying, do you go for a guy like a Jarvis Landry? What do you do? I mean, you are very, very thin. I think that's what we were talking about in the show before this, about more of a, double tight end set, just different looks, just someone that can actually catch the ball. But you're right. If you're the Lions, you're focusing on Keenan Allen like crazy. No, none of the other guys can hurt you. Gerald Everett will get the ball, but how many times is he going to get the ball? He's not going to get the ball the way Kelsey does or Gronk used to get it. But when Josh called out Guyton, it made me laugh because, number one, I'm like, Guyton's playing. You know what I mean? Like, you just haven't seen Guyton do anything forever. Guyton is, if you're a San Diego Padre fan, Guyton is Drew Pomeranz going, that guy never plays. Like, stop talking about him already. And so when he's out there and then he looked lost, you just sit there and shake your head and go, oh my gosh. Now, I will say something about Quentin Johnson. He had 2 receptions for 14 yards. He made a play, though, tonight that I think is important as far as his development and as far as the fan base goes. Because the rap on him when he got drafted was he catches everything with his body, kind of like you saw the Jets player in the end zone right at the end of the game bounce it right off his heart instead of catching it with his hands and it went off his shoulder pads. That's what Quentin Johnson used to be known as when he was at TCU. But he caught the ball over his head, 2 hands, knew he was going to get hit, and held on to the ball. And it sounds ridiculous because you see guys do that every single week. But for him and his development, I think that was actually an important play. It might sound ridiculous because it seems, so normal for all of us. But for everything he's been criticized for, the show that he could catch the ball with his hands above his head, knowing he was about to take a hit, was, I thought, a play in the right direction in his career.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for that nice play he had extending his arms. If you added up all the targets between Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, it'd be 16, which would be 2 more than the rest of the team combined. How do you not key on these 2 guys if you're the Lions and any other team that they play without Josh Palmer? It is a big problem, Mario. I think you need to definitely have another receiver step up. And I like what I saw from Quentin Johnson today, but he only got 3 opportunities. You got to give this guy more chances, I think, if you want to be a viable threat on offense. We got to score some more points, and Keenan Allen can't do everything. Like I said, Austin Eckler with those drops was weird. He had 7 targets and 2 catches. That never happens for a running back. They have that bad of a percentage on connecting. They definitely need to make some changes. I wish they would pick up a guy like Jarvis Landry to make a difference, because with Josh Palmer out, I personally don't think the Chargers have enough to score points and keep up with these, these big time teams, unless the defense can keep showing up like this. But I wouldn't expect that from this defense. This defense wasn't good except for the last 2 weeks. Maybe they're turning a corner, but you can't expect them to do this every week. I want to give props to a guy on the team that I think is incredibly underrated, and I hope people watch this game and notice how good he is. Alohi Gilman is an absolute baller, and he's going to take your head off at the same time. I can't believe how good this guy is. He's completely changed from when he got to the Chargers till now to the player he's developed in. I'm impressed. I think the guy does a little bit of everything. He reminds me of Brian Branch when he was at Alabama. You're going to see Brian Branch next week if he's healthy, and he will kill you. He's going to take the ball out of your hands. He's going to get interceptions. He's going to take the ball from the running back. I love watching that play, Mario.
It just electrifies you. It like gets you going, especially in the first quarter. Like gets you to stand up and hit your mother. But you're not supposed to. But like it gives you that kind of type of energy where you just get really excited. I would never hit my mom. Love you, Lisa. But you mentioned a really good point there too, Josh. Where like, is this defense turning a corner, or like, is it just like who we're playing? Like, is this defense really that good, or is it just we faced ties at Baja and Zac Wilson in the past 2 weeks? And to the point that you mentioned, we got to figure out this receiving core thing. Like, someone has to be added. Is Bandy available? Like, we got to add someone, because you're not going to win. You're not going to beat the Lions by depending on your defense to put you in situations to score. That's not how you're going to beat the Lions. By the way, it's not going to beat the Ravens. By the way, it's not going to beat the Chiefs. That's not how you're going to beat them. You're going to beat them by outscoring them. Like, you're going to have to. They're going to have to be shootouts. Like, that's how you're going to have to win these matchups and win these games. And you can't do that with one option. And my freaking God, Parham, you got to wake up. You got to wake up. I know you wake up when we hit the 5-yard line, and then you just come out of a daze like, oh, it's a beautiful world. And then you decide to walk out there on the field. Like, dude, you got to do that before. Like, we need you on 3rd and 10 to look alive. Like, that's just one big thing for me. Like, Parham, let's look alive everywhere it's on the field, not just we're in the red zone. You want to look pretty. Like, come on now.
All right. So when they face the Lions, Jared Goff is one of the more accurate passers in the league. All right. At the same time, when you look at, as we're excited about this win and talking about not giving up a touchdown, and you go, of course, we didn't score in the 3rd quarter because the Chargers never score in the 3rd quarter. That part gets frustrating, and we start sending text messages to each other. Are we going to blow this game? I mean, because that's always the way they come out of the half going, what the hell? And the fact, again, they held them without a touchdown is big. But if we were doing the show right now, and this was the It's Always Sunny in New York podcast talking Jets football, okay, we'd be talking about, guys, the turnovers are ridiculous. Guys, our defense put pressure on the quarterback. Guys, we did what we were supposed to do. We just kept giving good field position to the Chargers over and over again and giving them free touchdowns. That's the argument we'd say. Too many mistakes on our end. Did we give the game to the Chargers, or did the Chargers win that game? And at the same time, when you look at the score, if you didn't watch this game and you were to look at this tomorrow and say, hey, who won the Chargers-Jets game, you would see the score and say Chargers must have killed them. Not to take anything away from the Chargers, because all that matters is that final score, and what the scoreboard says doesn't matter how you got there. But I'll be honest with you. I thought the Jets, outside of the turnovers, I thought the Jets put a ton of pressure on the Chargers. And I understand Detroit's defense is really good. But at the same time, I don't think it gets tougher than what the Chargers saw tonight. It was fast. It was physical. Everyone knew, obviously, Monday night game, the Jets didn't want to be embarrassed. If you take the score out of it and you just watched everything but scores and watch that game again, you'd say this game had to be much closer than it was. And 2, if I'm Justin Herbert, saying the NFL doesn't get more difficult than that. And the stat showed it for Justin Herbert. Look at his numbers. He was about a 500 passer. Again, no touchdown passes. How often does Justin Herbert play a game with 0 touchdown passes? It's very unusual in the NFL when a starting quarterback doesn't have a touchdown pass. The Raiders did it yesterday too, and you go, well, that's just a rookie quarterback. Well, Justin Herbert makes over $50 million a year, and he's considered one of the best in the league. Yet when you look at his final numbers tonight, he's 16 of 30 for 136 yards. If I would have told you that before the game, you would have said that's a loss. So I know
100%.
Detroit's defense is good, Josh, but at the same time, I don't see it getting tougher than what they saw tonight. Tonight was much tougher than what the score showed.
Yeah, 100%. You're going to be going against a much tougher offense and defense. I don't think that is as good as the Jets. Jared Goff is obviously way better than Zac Wilson. The Jets have major issues. We can talk about the Jets. The Jets definitely lost this game, and the Chargers won it. I mean, there's nothing the Jets did that was good on offense. Their defense was fine. They have a good defense. Everybody knows they have a good defense. Alan Lazard, what the hell happened to you?
Holy
Used
cow.
to be decent. Dude, he looked like the worst player on the field today. And I know the broadcasters can't be rude, there's a respect factor, but they basically wanted to say, like, WTF, like Alan Lazard, what happened here? I thought the Chargers had a problem with the number 2 receiver. The Jets have nobody besides Garrett Wilson. Horrible. Chargers won this game, though. You cannot take this away from the Chargers. The punt return is part of the game. I mean, if the Jets aren't going to cover it, we're going to take it back. And then all the turnovers, the Chargers caused those. That's 2 weeks in a row the Chargers have caused tons of turnovers. You can't say the Chargers didn't win this game and that the Jets are the ones that really lost it. The Jets just aren't good. Their defense did enough, like I said, but their offense just isn't good, and the Chargers took advantage, and that's what good teams do. I think the Chargers are a good team. I think the Chargers are starting to show everybody on 2 national games. Granted, it's the Bears and the Jets, where they're showing this is a good team. I don't think anybody wants to play the Chargers. Even when the Chargers are struggling, it's still Justin Herbert. It's still, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, who, by the way, has 9 sacks. Holy hell. Khalil Mack has 9 sacks. They have tons of good players, man. Corey Linsley, to me, is the big one that I really wish he was back out there. But even with this team we have now, nobody wants to play the Chargers.
The point about Alan Lazard, too, that deep ball they had where it was underthrown and he didn't go up and get it. If he really just extended his arms like a little bit, he would have caught the ball. And he just, I'm going to hug it. And I can't. My friend had it on the Eli Manning cast, and Eli Manning just goes, I mean, if he puts in a little effort, he's got it, like she's like, I mean, come on, like go up and get the ball. That's like the number one thing a wideout coach always tells you, like, attack the ball, go get the ball. Don't let the ball come to you. You gotta attack the ball. And Lazard, well, he didn't attack it. Confidence back up. We're back charged up. Besides the receiving thing, I'm fully back in and believing in this team. And we mentioned that there's some tough roads ahead, and you gotta make sure you go over the easy games. And right now they went over the easy games, so now it's just forward on what we're going to do. Also, I'd like to point this one out. You mentioned Gilman, and I want to go back and rewatch Gilman just over and over again today. What about this guy for a good game today? I actually really, really liked what I saw from Michael Davis today. Really, really liked, especially matched up against. You knew it.
I knew you were going to say that. He looked good.
He did.
We give credit to guys when they do well, and he did well. I mean, we're not rooting against him. We hope he plays well every game. I agree. I thought he looked good. I thought the whole defense looked good, Mario. I don't think there's one guy on the defense where you're saying he really struggled out there. I was happy with every single guy I saw.
Yeah. And they should subscribe to Bolt City.
Yeah.
No, I was too. I was very excited about everything I saw today. I think most Charger fans feel the same way. Again, they're going to work tomorrow and you're going, hey, my team won. You stick the chest out a little bit, can't wait for Sunday, and you start talking about the game. And that's what you want. Even if you own the Chargers, you want people talking about your team, and they're going in the right direction, which is good news. To be at 500 is a big deal. To be almost halfway through the season and be a 500 team is a big deal. And so the Chargers are doing everything right. The old saying, as you say, I want you to play this game like it's the last game you'll ever play. Gilman played that way. Right. I mean, it was ridiculous to watch. I loved everything about it. I like that they created turnovers. I like that they're able to score on the special teams. That's one of those where if you're the Jets, you're upset because that's your punter. Josh just gave credit earlier in the week to J.K. Scott and how good he's been. And that's the easiest way to me to hurt your team, is trying to show your leg and outkick your coverage. And that's what he did in that situation. We saw the Chargers do it in Tyreek Hill's very first game. Do you remember that? We just booted the hell out of the ball. Goes, look at that. I just kicked the ball 75 yards in there. Oh, that's weird. He just ran it back, 78 yards for a touchdown. And you can't do that. That's ridiculous for a professional football player to run that route. For the Chargers to take advantage of it, good. For the Chargers to get sacks, good. For the Chargers to create turnovers, great. And that's how you win games. And so they're very excited about tonight's win. Again, when you look at it and the fact they didn't give up a touchdown, and I know the Chargers wanted that, wouldn't have made a difference in the game at the end. But you could see Derwin James and the rest of the guys celebrating. To not give up a touchdown in the NFL is a big damn deal. And for the Chargers, that was a huge boost. I can't imagine. I know it's a 5.5, 6 hour flight back to Los Angeles. There's nobody sleeping on that plane. Those guys are going to be having a good time all the way back.
They deserve it, man. I got a question for you, Mario. Do the Chargers have the best kicker in the NFL? Seriously, is Cameron Dicker the best kicker in the NFL? Dude, you guys freaking automatic. Knock on wood. Not try and jinx it. Is he the best kicker in the NFL?
Dude, he almost missed the extra point. I got a little upset by that one, but yeah.
He made it.
He's pretty good.
I mean,
yeah,
dude, he's really
right
good.
Off the post.
Yeah, it still counts.
It did count.
Well, yeah, dude, I think honestly, I think he might. I mean, Justin Tucker, right, is probably still the best, but I think Cameron Dicker, honest to God, is like top 3 kickers in the NFL. The guy's like incredibly accurate, and then he nails the 55-yarder before the half, like no problem.
It's not easy kicking in MetLife. I think honestly, kicking in MetLife's the toughest place to kick. Not because of the fans or the city. It's because of that crosswind. They talk about it all the time. Kicking in MetLife Stadium is extremely tough. I was nervous when he went for the 55-yarder. I was like, it'd be great to get 3 here, but you know, you always hear how tough it is kicking in MetLife Stadium.
Chargers, I did quick bad kickers for years. So I mean, it's just like a weird change of pace that they actually have a kicker that can do anything. Sorry, Mario. What were you saying?
That's true.
No, you're good. That's like the my favorite kicker thing of all time is when the Chicago Bears went through a rebuild and let go Robbie Gould, and then like the next 4 kickers went like 20%. No, but I mean the 55-yard was huge. That was huge, came into play, and that was a huge kick by Dicker, and also the before shot. First off, just I know like the last name is very funny, but the before slow motion shot of him squeezing a water bottle all over his face as he like goes like that. I'm just saying, that's comedy, guys. That's pretty funny. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to the camera guy that got that shot. Shout out to the producer that told him to go do it. That was beautiful. That's going to be a gift that's going to go to this show probably for the next 2 weeks. That was my favorite thing I've ever seen.
It was pretty exciting to see what happened. I wonder again. We'll get a chance because again we went on the air the second that game ended, but I'm curious to know what the locker room was like. Like I'm into it. Like I watched all the Raider stuff. Like today's a new day. I called for Staley's head if they lost this game that he deserved to be fired. But I wonder where that locker room is at. I mean, I know they're excited about the win, but do you think those guys at 4-4 say, hey guys, we're capable of anything? Like where are those guys at as a team? Because almost every guy that we were critical of going into the game, talking about the entire season, they all stepped up. Mike Davis stepped up. Joey Bosa stepped up. Quentin Johnson stepped up. They all stepped up tonight. Like it was literally the best night of the year for the Chargers.
I think they think that they can beat anybody. When you have those 3 guys that are unblockable at times, you feel like you can beat anybody. There's nothing more demoralizing if you're another team than getting pummeled. Your quarterback is constantly getting pummeled over and over and over again by Bosa, Mack, and Tooley. It's unbelievable to see these 3 guys get after the quarterback. I love on third downs when all 3 are on the field at the same time. On Tooley's last sack, he was in like the middle linebacker spot, and he just goes on the outside, and Zac Wilson had no chance. I love that they're getting creative with the defense.
He stepped on his head afterwards. Did you see that?
Dude, hard.
On that last sack, I rewound it 3 times to go, holy cow. He kicked him or stepped right on his head after he sacked him. And I was like, there's a flag coming out. Like this, that doesn't go. If that was Tom Brady, he'd be suspended for the rest of the year. Yeah, he just completely booted him like it was a freaking watermelon in the middle of the field.
That was like Bosa's late hit too. That was the latest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. I'm glad you brought that up. I would have been really upset if nobody brought this up. So Troy Aikman's like, I didn't see anything. I don't know what the big deal was. And they show the replay. And I'm like, go ahead, do it.
So delayed.
Do it to Buck over here and see how far he goes. He's going to go far. And, what are you talking about? But I also didn't like on our end, I didn't like the fact when Justin Herbert got spun around and thrown down to the turf. And I was like, all right, I'm not saying there was a flag there, but I was worried for injury there. Going, man, again, it's 6'6" guy just getting spun around and just spiked right into the turf. I'm like, damn, we can't afford to get Justin Herbert hurt. But they let everything go when it came to the quarterbacks tonight, outside of obviously the Joey Bosa one.
I thought this was the hardest that Justin Herbert got hit all year, actually. I think he took a
did
few
too.
hits. The one where he got spun around that you're talking about, that looked painful, but there's a few of them where you're like, holy crap, man, that looks bad. Poor Breece Hall. Do you guys notice every time he had a run of like 5 yards or more called back? He's like, dude,
Yeah.
I can't do anything. Every time I do anything, he gets called back every single time. And Dalvin Cook, how does that happen? Like, dude, he's a complete non-factor. Was he like the top 5 running back the last few years, and he can't do anything on the Jets? Crazy what happens when you go to a bad team. But yeah, Justin Herbert, I think for sure is feeling it on the way back today.
Yeah, when they were saying they're like, yeah, like they warned them what it was going to be like you're not really going to get a feel for the game. You're going to get like not a lot of touches. I mean, that like I think they probably undershot it. Like he is really a non-factor in this game. Like he's in the game. We're like, oh, you have Dalvin Cook. Forgot about him. You know,
Hey, he looked like Adrian
like
Peterson.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's gonna be like in a year in the whatever the game it is, we got put up like where this player played for. Dalvin Cook for the Jets is gonna stun some people in like 4 years. You know, like it's gonna be like, wow, really? I'll say this too about this win. I know it's kind of way too early because we're halfway in the season, but just playoff picture wise, if you look up AFC playoff picture right now, that win over the Jets put us over the Jets.
That was big.
In that standing. So like that, it was a big win. So big win for us in that just sense right there. And we talked about the playoffs. This team really needs to make the playoffs, and they're sitting at 500. Just a little win right there for two teams that'll be really fighting and crawling to get in there. And who knows if the Jets can get in there. It's nice to have that win, that little tiebreaker over them.
How much does point differential mean to you guys? Like when you look at standings, does it mean anything to you?
Does it mean a lot to you?
Well, the reason I say that is, do you know the number 1 team point differential wise?
Is it the Eagles?
Ravens.
And so, what did you say, Mario? Ravens?
Ravens.
It's the Ravens. It's not even close, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Ravens are 100,
wins.
115 plus 115. Like the Dolphins and their offense has been kind of crazy, especially against all the bad teams they face. They're only plus 60. The Ravens are 115. And so the Chargers, just off the top of your guys' head, what do you think the Chargers are?
Oh,
I cheated. I have the list up now.
Okay. Well, Josh, what would you guess?
I'd say plus 10. I have no idea.
They're plus 27. Okay.
Okay.
And again, I was just asking if it means anything at all to show you what they are. Like the big talk all last week was the Steelers. How the Steelers have basically been outgained in every single game. Like none of the stats make any sense for the Steelers, and they're a minus 30, and yet the Steelers are, 5-2 or whatever the hell they are. It's insane what the Steelers, how it works out. But I was just saying, is it a sign you're going in the right direction? For the Chargers, looking at it, we all say, you have the Detroit Lions. And then after that, you have the Green Bay Packers. Looking at the schedule, if you were trying to predict games, you would say, well, the Packer game should be a win. It's Jordan Love. It's almost the same situation you had today with not as good of a defense that you're going against in the Packers. But, guys, if they can steal this Lions game, it does change the season. I think it gives you a little bit of breathing room because you still have those games against the Chiefs coming up. You want to be a playoff team. I don't think anyone went into this year as excited as they were about Charger football, saying this is a team that's going to win the AFC West. Nobody would say, I'm going to bet my house the Chargers win the AFC West. And so just to get into the playoffs is important.
If you can win both these next games, you're in an amazing position. Right now, the Chargers are 10th in the AFC of the standings. It's Chiefs 1, Ravens 2, Jaguars 3, Dolphins 4, Steelers 5, Browns 6, Bengals 7, Bills 8, Texans 9, then Chargers 10. So if I'm looking at all these teams, I honestly think the Chargers are better than the Steelers. I think the Browns have a great defense and no quarterback. The Bills have so many issues, and the Texans, I don't know how good the Texans are, but I really think the Chargers could make the playoffs. And if they win these next 2 games, they're in a great position. But you got to win one game at a time. If they can beat the Lions, I'm going to be on cloud 9.
And you mentioned the Texans factor. They have the Bengals this week. So that could be another one where you can climb the ladder a little bit. So let's say the Texans, it's in Cincy. Cincy's become a very hard place to play since Burrows came into town. So if they take this game, they go 5-4 and they go 4-5. That helps a lot. Texans after that get a little help facing the Cardinals, and they have Jags at home, and they divisional game at home, so they'll probably get their number. But that's a big thing right there. Gotta go 1-0 in every single week moving forward. Packers is kind of a similar situation in a way to the team we just faced. not a great quarterback. Defense. Yeah, talk about Packers. I'm looking ahead. I'm sorry. I'm looking way too ahead. Focus on the Lions. Freaking Lions. Lions are kind of a much different story than what we got this past week. Explosive offense. Very explosive running back that they don't choose to freaking use. And it's blowing my mind why they don't use Gibbs more. But genius offensive coordinator who's a very smart play caller going up against Staley. We've seen this before. What happens? Got to prepare for it. Defense that's slowly come together, but not explosive defense, but very good pass rusher, Nate Hutchinson. So it's going to be a tale of different tape going into this one, Dave. And if they win, people on that Monday will go, Chargers are on notice. It'll be Bengals are hot, and the little ticker below, should we be worried about the Chargers?
You know what's interesting? Looking at through the standings and saying, okay, what teams have to lose to help the Chargers out? There's going to be some help in the AFC North because those guys will start giving each other some losses. But all three of us picked a different team to win the AFC North this year when we made our predictions. Every team in the AFC North is going to make the playoffs, right? And if it ended today, if the season ended today, every team in the AFC North makes the playoffs. Well, the season ended today. We'd say, what the hell? Season's over on November 6th. What kind of BS is this? Let's be honest. But as of today, that's the way the playoff picture sets up. Looking forward to it. I think we're at the point where we start looking at the schedule and we start rooting for teams to start losing so things kind of sort itself out to put the Chargers in the best position. It would be nice to be back in the days when the Chargers are winning 3 straight, 4 straight, whatever, AFC West championships or division championships and saying we don't have to worry about getting in. We know we're in. Whereas right now, here we are already in, October, November saying we're already looking at the schedule going, we need some teams to start dropping off. But that's where they are. And the Chargers have no one to blame, but themselves. There are certain games that you're going to look back on, whether it's the Cowboys or the Titans, and saying those should have been wins. We had those games that really frustrate you.
Titans.
Yeah.
I think about it once a day. Titans drive me nuts. All right, let's go. YouTube question of the day from our last show comes from Alabarlo 7223. You guys are killing me with the Caleb Williams conversation. Does he have a yeast infection? Sorry. Chargers win tonight 28-17. Random question for you. Other than the obvious, how did you all meet and how did the podcast start? Have a great time watching the game tonight. Who wants to go first?
First of all, I give credit for the catching that. I didn't think either one of you caught that line when I even threw it out there. That I said is Caleb Williams a yeast infection.
I heard it.
Heard me.
I caught it. Yeah,
I heard the summer dress one too. Yeah.
Okay. Super bitter. By the way, I said to my wife, I told her the story. She doesn't watch football at all. I told her the story this morning about Caleb Williams crying heavily in his mom's lap. She couldn't believe it. And she's always the person, you don't know what people go through, and you're too tough on people, and always gets on me for basically calling people out for being soft. She was so disgusted by it. And I was like, okay, I know I'm right. For the fact that she's the nicest person on the planet, and to sit there and go, what's his problem? I go, all right, I'm not crazy. You know
what? We're obviously, me and you are from California. People from the South, where I live in Nashville now, think Californians are P words,
Yeah.
I think they're all soft. And they go, Caleb Williams and Anthony Davis are the two soft. I'm like, they're not even from California. They just play for California teams.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
right.
Caleb Williams is from Baltimore, and Anthony Davis is from Chicago. It's supposed to be like the toughest city. Bull crap.
Mario.
But they're not even from California. But you see these two guys break down all the time, and you're like, good Lord, dude, they're making us look horrible. A little rant.
Fair. Caleb Williams from DC, I'd like to point out.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was Baltimore. All right, so to answer the question, Mario, how did the podcast start? You go first.
So the podcast started was 2400. Shout out to them. They were starting a Chargers pod, and I got an email about it, and I threw my name in there, going, "Hey, I'd love to be part of the show, love to produce it, love to host it." And it wasn't going to be a one-man wrecking crew, so we needed other people to find it. And it was originally actually supposed to be someone else, and then I almost said their name. I probably shouldn't say their name. But then they dropped out at the last second. And then they emailed me about, I think we started 3 weeks before season. They're like, yeah, you'll have Dave Palais and Josh. They called me actually yeah, it'd be Dave Palais, Josh Palais. And we'll set up a call with them in a week or something. And then we had a meeting. And I honestly, I think the introduction I got, because I was like, who are they? And I think all I got was ESPN guy and guy that played for Bama. And that's my auditory processing, but that's all I heard. So I was like, oh my God, I got to step my freaking game up. I got to figure it out a little bit. Like, I'm just a dummy from the Midwest with long hair that's just trying to figure it out. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to bump up the Division III lacrosse player a little bit. And yeah, now we're here.
Yeah, my memory of it was, do you want to do this Charger podcast? I said yes, we'll do this Charger podcast. And they said, all right, you're going to do it with Josh, and then the guy behind the scenes is going to be Mario. And I said, forget that. I go, we want Mario on the show. And they're like, no, that's not what Mario's there for. Mario's there to make sure the show gets posted. I go, no, we want Mario. I never even met Mario, but I was like, this guy, we want him. We want a third person on here. We want someone with a lot of personality. I didn't want somebody, by the way, Mario, who had a ton of radio experience at the time. If people haven't figured out, Mario's the youngest one on the show. And I was saying he's the guy. And after our very first show we did, Josh and I were doing a trip. We were in Chicago. Mario was in Indiana at the time. And so the first one or two shows were in Chicago. Then we went to New York the same week. We did the first Charger game show. We did it from a hotel in New York City. And right after show one, I said to Josh, as we turned the mics off, I go, dude, we found gold. We lucked out with Mario. We nailed it. And so not one day have I regretted saying Mario should be part of the show. I think one of the smartest things I ever did in my career was saying, put Mario on the show. And so I'm very happy that it's not just Josh and I talking. And Josh and I talk all the time, but the fact that Mario fit right in, and we say it all the time, he's family to us. He is family to us.
Absolutely. We never had this conversation until right now, but if I was Mario and I would have heard that I'm doing a show with the father and son, I'd be kind of upset. I'd say because I would be thinking they're probably weird, right? A father and son, like I'm gonna be the third man out. It's like going on being the third wheel, right, on a date. You're like, I'm not supposed to be here, but it worked out great. And like Dave said, we got a great get in Mario, and we're happy to be here. And actually, on our last show, somebody commented, the guy on the bottom, which is Mario, if you can't tell on the screen, is the only guy that knows what the hell he's talking about. So there you go, Mario. You're the only guy on the show that knows what the hell he's talking about. But I'm super thankful that it worked out that way. And if you guys can't figure it out by now, Dave's my dad. Obviously, we have the same last name. People think you're my older brother, but he's my father.
I can't tell you, by the way, like the amount of times that I've been talking to people and they're like, yeah, check out the pod, and like, I had no idea that was his father. Like, I've heard that so much. But no, it's honestly, when I found out that was you guys, I was like, all right, like, I just hope, like, my biggest worry, I was like, I just hope I like fit in, because my biggest worry was I was going to say something off collar and be like, all right, they were not with it at all. So literally blessing this, guys. I've loved it every single day. This is the only, I should be really careful what I say. I really enjoy editing this pod. Like, I love re-listening to it. I've never in a time have we gone on and I've been like, this is going to suck. Every time I've looked forward to every single time. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, Mario's best moment, to give you credit, Mario, if you go back and listen to the show before this one, listen to everything Mario says and tell me how many things he said in the last show were true tonight in this show, in this game. You call this game like you wouldn't believe. That's why I text Mario 5 minutes into the show, into the ball game tonight, and I said, dude, have you already seen this game? It was insane, the stuff that you call that actually happened that never happens. So it was yesterday was your best show.
Hey, if you go back 2 weeks, you hear me go like 2 and 12. On predictions. So we even out, guys. By the way,
how do we do this week? How do we do in our predictions? Good.
Really good.
By the way, my light went out like 10 minutes ago on this show. Like, I don't know if you guys can notice. I look like it's Halloween. I got a flashlight underneath my face.
Yeah, we did really good this past week.
Good.
Really, really good. Also, quick side comment. This is gonna be totally off topic, but just so Kim Kardashian is an actress right now. She's in a TV show.
Didn't she make a movie a while ago?
Her own show?
She did.
I did see the movie, and she was great in that. She was great.
She played herself, right?
Yeah, but
I didn't see that one coming. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, yeah. It was. She knew what she was doing. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throws her way around the camera.
Dude, she made the whole family billionaires. Think about it. If she didn't
Yeah.
take one for the team, literally, she made the whole family billionaires without that first acting performance. Look what that turned into. Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't see that on the Waltons, that's for sure.
No.
Okay. What was our record, by the way?
Oh, yes, right one. All right, Josh went 8-5, Dave 11-2, me 9-4.
Whoa,
nice, dude. We made everybody money. Look
Yeah.
at that. Not bad.
Big one.
We called
Pretty
Raiders too.
impressive.
We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
All three of us.
Yeah. Raiders
Called
got us. Good. Seahawks screwed me and you, Josh. Seahawks screwed us.
Yeah, I told you, man. It's a big flight, man, from Seattle to Baltimore.
Rams got all of us too.
Yeah, that one bothered me. I'm not picking the Rams the rest of the year. They can play our sisters of the poor. I'm not picking the Rams. And I think the Rams are taking a dive, by the way, the rest of the year. They're talking about not playing Stafford the rest of the season. Like we aren't even like halfway through on it. We're gonna just say, hey, we aren't gonna play that guy. They're just working on the draft. Like we haven't had a first round draft pick in 5 years. We finally have one. There's no way this guy's gonna mess it up for us.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll come back and we'll look. So our next show will be on Thursday, correct, Mario?
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay, we'll be doing a show on Thursday. We'll break down what's going to happen in that Lions game. We'll make our picks again, and then again we'll probably be on cloud nine still. Who are we kidding? This was a great night. This was absolutely awesome. Chargers win. If you're just tuning in, 27-6 over the Jets. They improved to 4-4 on the season. We'll be back in a couple of days. Thanks everyone for listening. Please leave a comment again. YouTube, absolutely love it. I did promise I wasn't going to be on the show tonight if the Chargers lost. I'm glad to be here. And again, if you would listen to the Bolt City podcast through Odyssey, through the app, that's absolutely fantastic as well. But thank you so much for being interested in this show. So for Mario Heron, Josh Palais, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you in a couple of days.